अखबार अल-फज़ल दुनियाए उर्दू सहाफ़त में मुसलसल शाये होने वाला बरसग़ीर का कदीम तरीन अखबार कहलाता है, जो खुदा ताला के फ़ज़ल से अब अपने 106 साल पूरे कर रहा है और हज़रत अमीरुल मोमिनीन खलीफतुल मसीहिल ख़ामिस अय्यदहुल्लाह ताला की वलवला अंगेज़ क़यादत और रहनुमाई में रोज़नामा अल-फज़ल का लंदन से ऑनलाइन एडिशन शुरू किया जा रहा है। इस तारीख़ी अखबार की बुनियाद दो मुक़द्दस खुलफ़ा के हाथों से रखी गई और आने वाले खुलफ़ा ने अज़राह शफ़क़त इसको परवान चढ़ाया और इसकी 1 सदी से ज़्यादा की उम्र महज इन खुलफ़ा की दुआओं और बरकतों से इबारत है। अल-फज़ल एक फ़ज़ल है जो सैयदना महमूद के ज़रिए 18 जून 1913 ईस्वी को आलम अहमदियत पर नूरुद्दीन की दुआओं के जलौ में ज़ाहिर हुआ और खिलाफत अहमदिया की रोशनी और उसकी बरक़ात को दुनिया भर में ज़ाहिर करता रहा। ये खिलाफत अहमदिया का परवाना, उसके हाथ का परवरदा और उसका बिगल है। अल-फज़ल खिलाफत अहमदिया की 100 साला तजल्लियात और जमात की वालिहाना अकीदत का आयनादार है। उसका हर सफ़ा इस दो तरफ़ा मोहब्बत के इत्र से पुर है। अल-फज़ल कादियान से शुरू हुआ और लाहौर से होता हुआ रब्वा पहुँचा और अब 106 साल के बाद खिलाफत खामसा में रोज़नामा अल-फज़ल के ऑनलाइन एडिशन का लंदन से इजरा हो रहा है।
चलता अल-फज़ल पहुँचा लंदन, चलता चलता अल-फज़ल एक नई सजदज से आया अल-फज़ल।
रोज़नामा अल-फज़ल लंदन के ऑनलाइन एडिशन के इजरा पर हुज़ूर अनवर अय्यदहुल्लाह ताला ने महब्बत भरा खुसूसी पैगाम अता फ़रमाया है। आप इसके आखिर पर फरमाते हैं, मेरी दुआ है कि अल-फज़ल हमेशा तरक्की की नई से नई मनाजिल तय करता चला जाए और ये भी खलीफा वक्त के लिए एक हकीकी सुल्तान नसीर का किरदार अदा करने वाला बने। आमीन।
106 साल जज्बा अल-फज़ल एक नए मैदान में उतरा अल-फज़ल। अब के इंटरनेट का है रास्ता चुना, एक नई सजधज से आया अल-फज़ल। एक नई सजधज से आया अल-फज़ल। एक नई सजधज से आया अल-फज़ल। एक नई सजधज से आया अल-फज़ल।
This is Zion, Illinois. Once founded as a Christian utopia by a bitter opponent of Islam, it now serves as a testament to the truthfulness of Islam, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and the Messiah of the age. Let's turn back the pages of time as we observe God's support and favor of his Messiah and see what makes this town special and its brand new mosque so historic.
Now go back in time, the faith that Dowie stood to annihilate.
It will be a worldwide sign. Countless newspapers around the world advertised it.
Who got effaced?
We'll see the reaction of the media at that time and also look at how the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA is memorializing this mighty sign for the benefit of generations to come.
We are not celebrating his death. What we are celebrating is a sign of God.
कलम करेश माथा और हर्फ मोजज़े उसके कलम करिश्मा था और हर्फ मोजज़े उसके.
The year is 1888. On the western shores of USA arrives a new face. His name is John Alexander Dowie, a Scottish-Australian evangelical minister who claims to be a faith healer.
He was born in Scotland in 1847. When he was young, he became a preacher, and he also claimed that he is able to heal the people, those who believe in the atonement of Jesus. And then in 1888, when he was 41 years old, he arrived in San Francisco, California. And that's where he started his preaching in America.
It won't be long before he turns his healing practice into a successful national business. From this point forward, his unbridled aspirations would only grow.
And from Los Angeles, he took a train. And I went to see that train station where he took the train in Pomona. He went to Chicago, Evansville, and then there he established church for himself, known as Christian Catholic Church. But the word Zion he was using from the very beginning. So he rented a house and he gave the name Zion Room to his rented house. He assembled people, and at night he uncovered the blueprint or map of this vast city he is about to establish, known as Zion.
In this time, Dowie begins to accumulate large amounts of wealth. But he's not satisfied. Beguiled by his apparent success, he now sets his eyes on power.
So he selected a land, it was just a land over there, more than 6,600 acres of land next to the Michigan Lake. Important thing was that he had claimed the name of the city to be Zion, and he said that no sinful action would be done and only Christians would live in that land, in that city. And among the sinful actions were amazingly drinking of the wine, which was very popular in America, and smoking even, and things like that. So that's how Zion became very famous, and he established the city and slowly and gradually started growing real fast.
The city he founded began to flourish. By this time, he had his own publishing company and printed a regular newspaper called the Leaves of Healing, and by means of which he was able to spread his messages across the entire world.
Gathering all nations together under the banner of Zion. In this assembly of God's people, it is probable that more than 50 nations are represented.
Disease and mortality is way higher than Chicago. So they are making this comparison that from a worldly standpoint, there is no chance for this claimant in India to win, but that's the power of Mubahala.
And then after some time, when he was very insulting to the Prophet Messiah, because newspapers in America picked up this news that this man is advising him. He said about Prophet Messiah Islam, you believe or you think that I'm going to respond to these gnats and flies? I can put my foot over them and crush them out.
If I am not God's prophet, there is none on God's earth that is.
And this was the moment where essentially challenge accepted.
Do you realize that the same words flew back on his face?
And it was in front of thousands of people.
His fate, his 0 hour began.
And he actually has to be dragged off the stage because he gets his first stroke in front of thousands of people. I have to repeat, it baffles my mind how Huzur was so much on top of this news at a time when a letter would take weeks before it could reach, or a newspaper before it could reach from North America to Qadian. And Huzur says that he is now suffering from a stroke. Look at the irony. This man claims to be a healer. This man's periodical is named Leaves of Healing. He can't heal himself because this is a stroke played by God's hand.
निशा को देख कर इनकार कब तक पेश जाएगा अरे एक और झूठों पर क़यामत आने वाली है अरे एक और
And from there on, it's not just disease. When he moves to Mexico, then other things start surfacing. His other scandals with young women in the area.
Not only that, he had given thousands of dollars as gifts to those women. So that brought a kind of defame on him.
The fact that he's a hidden alcoholic, all those things start popping up.
Then, of course, they had to take some action, and they just disqualified him to be their leader. And later on, after a little time, he had another stroke. And that made him so weak that he couldn't even lay down and speak.
February 20th, 1907. Huzur talks about Alexander Dowie, and he says, God has now revealed to me Fateh Azim, that a grand victory is coming.
And that sign will come from God, will occur. And it will not be limited to only India. It will be a worldwide sign.
Huzur uses those words, Fateh Azim. And not only that Huzur uses it, you must see in the book, they are published as if it's the headline of a newspaper. They're not buried somewhere in the text. And then within approximately 2 weeks, John Alexander Dowie dies.
खुदा ज़ाहिर करेगा एक निशान पुर रोबो पुर हैबत दिलों में इस निशान से इस्तिकामत आने वाली है.
Great is Mirza Ghulam Ahmad the Messiah, foretold pathetic end of Dowie and now predicts plague, flood, and earthquake. Dowie dies in the city he planned. Death finds him with no relatives or friends by his side.
Over the decades, the Jamaat has made efforts to keep this great sign alive. Ahmadi Muslims from neighboring cities moved to the town and established a Jamaat with a local mission house to serve their needs.
At the turn of the millennium, when the anticipation of the return of Jesus, peace be upon him, again reached society's attention, the USA Jamaat arranged a special conference near Zion known as Messiah 2000.
At that time, the purpose was we held this conference in Carthage College because many years ago, 100 years ago, John Alexander Dowie spoke in the same hall.
But all the prophecies of the Old Testament and the New Testament, they came to fruition, yet no messenger came.
Nearly every objective historian will say that Dowie's own ego was the major cause of his fall.
1,500 people attended that conference. Hazrat Imam Ahmad Sahib and 9 other children of prominent Messiah al-Islam were present in that conference.
The promised Messiah, peace be upon him, received complete victory by God. Now, 115 years later, his message has spread to over 200 countries. And each Ahmadiyya across the world is a living sign of the greatness and truthfulness of the Messiah of the age.
To memorialize this great victory, a brand new mosque has now been constructed, the Fateh Azim Mosque, right here in the town that witnessed Allah the Almighty's grand sign.
The residents of Zion, they always wanted to have a mosque in their town. Sahibzada Mirza Maqbool Ahmad Saab took this as a national project. And he said, we will build a mosque in the city of Zion. The city of Zion being the vital seat of the manifestation of this sign should be remembered and considered live for generations to come.
This has been a project in the making for the last 20 years, and we're the only Muslim group that sits here in Zion, and the only group that now has a beautiful mosque. City officials and other church members want to be good neighbors to us. Some of the churches have allowed us to use their parking lot just to show that they want to be good neighbors.
$5 million has been spent to construct this mosque, the exhibition center. 1.7 million of that has been raised by Lajna.
Amir Saab gave us a target of $1.2 million. And at the time of our Majlis Shura, there were approximately 26 sisters who stepped forward immediately, writing checks, pulling cash out of their pockets, taking off their bangos, and making this the first contribution towards the building of this mosque. However, we succeeded our goal, and we reached $1.7 million, and this took place within less than 1 year.
This is hallowed ground. For God showed his hand, his sign for his prophet here to be an eternal testament to his greatness and as a sign of the truthfulness of the Messiah of the age, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, peace be upon him.
The fact that Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, now names this masjid, Masjid Fateh Azim. If that doesn't give people goosebumps, I don't know what will.
Ghulam Ahmad ki jai. Long live Hazrat Ahmad.
पर होते हैं गालिब मेरी खातिर खुदा से ये अलामत आने वाली है मेरी खातिर खुदा से ये अलामत आने वाली है
Coming up next on MTA, we hand over to our MTA News Studios for today's World News Report.
I'm a Muslim woman. Modesty is my choice, my freedom. I have my own mind. I have my own voice. I invite you to listen and to look beyond. I'm a Muslim woman.
My name is Mahita Rehman and I am a Master's Biomedical Sciences student. The study that I do, Biomedical Sciences, encompasses all human study, so that includes things like the endocrine system, anatomy, neuroscience, genetics, etc. My specific research right now is actually focused on global health justice as well as what the ethical issues are. Aside from that, I am also the elected president of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Women Student Association, also known as AMSA. AMSA caters for about 700 students who are studying A-levels, vocational courses and university courses. The setup of AMSA itself shows that Islam and Ahmadiyyat emphasizes on the education of women, and that it does not confine but supports and help women who want to get educated in whatever field they may require or seem fit for them. I have properly started doing parda, consciously understanding what it meant to do parda when I was in high school. I genuinely was excited. I wanted to find out what hijab color would suit me, what hijab style would suit me, how I would look nice, which would look better with my uniform, which would look better in the winter, in the summer. Everything was just like a new experience. In fact, I think when I wanted to do parda, I was told to wait a little bit. There was no rush for it exactly. So me choosing to do parda was definitely my own idea, my own thought from seeing what I should be doing or what Islam does teach us. My childhood friends were a mixture of Muslims and non-Muslims, so I feel like maybe some of the Muslims expected it. Some of them probably did not expect it at the age I decided to wear it. They definitely saw a change. They definitely asked what I was wearing, why I was wearing it, but they were supportive. They knew that I was doing it happily. They would ask, why are you doing this? And at the same time, my non-Muslim friends, some of them were aware of what it was and they may have seen other people wearing it. Some of them liked to know why mine was different to, other women. My hijab does not stop me from enjoying life in any way possible. In fact, if anything, it just makes me safer. It's a security for me. It's almost like a security blanket for me. It's a protection for me. I want to realize my full potential as a human being. I want to make a mark on this belt. So when I look back at my life, I can say that I achieved something positive and good for society and mankind as a whole. When I'm walking down the street or shopping anywhere or going about, I do not think about my headscarf. It's not an issue for me, it's just something that I am wearing. People do not turn around to look at me. It's not something daunting. It's not a daunting experience. I think it's more important with how you present yourself in hijab or outside of it. That is more important than the physicality of how you look. The hijab defines me as a Muslim woman, but it does not limit me as a human being.